Picture this. There's a plant so powerful that NASA sent it to space as the future of human survival. A microscopic organism that produces more protein than beef, more nutrients than any vegetable you know, and doubles itself every 16 hours without soil, without fertilizer, without your permission. But here in America, we pay $800 per acre to poison it out of existence. They call it a nuisance. I call it the greatest food cover-up of our generation. What you're about to discover will change how you see every green pond you've ever passed. Asterisk, asterisk, asterisk. What if I told you that the solution to food insecurity, to rising grocery prices, to protein shortages, is floating right now in millions of ponds across America? And what if I told you that powerful corporations have spent decades teaching you to fear it, to poison it, to see it as your enemy? This is the story of how they turned abundance into a crime. Let me show you two Americas, same country, same plant, to completely different realities. Scene 1, suburban Texas. A homeowner stands at his backyard pond. The water surface is covered in a thin green layer. He's angry. He pulls out his phone and calls the HOA. Within days, a chemical company truck arrives. They spray $800 worth of herbicides across 1 acre of water. The label warns, "Do not touch this water for 3 weeks." The green disappears. The HOA is satisfied. The homeowner pays the bill. Scene 2. A research lab at MIT. Scientists are growing the exact same green organism in sterile tanks. They're measuring protein content, amino acid profiles, vitamin concentrations. Their eyes widen at the data. One researcher whispers, "This could feed the world." They publish their findings. The paper gets buried. No major news outlet covers it. Within months, the research funding disappears. Same organism. One person poisons it. The other calls it a miracle. That's not a coincidence. That's a system working exactly as designed. Hook 2. The ancient secret they don't want you to know. Here's what they're hiding from you. This plant has been feeding civilizations for over 2,000 years. In ancient China, physicians prescribed it to heal fevers and reduce inflammation. Buddhist monks in India ate it as the purest food on earth, a symbol of spiritual enlightenment. Greek botanists in 300 BCE documented it in their scientific records, not as trash, not as a weed, but as a distinct life form worthy of study and respect. These weren't primitive people eating garbage. These were advanced civilizations with agriculture, with trade networks, with medical knowledge that rivals our own, and they chose this plant deliberately. Fast forward to today. We've erased that knowledge. We've replaced 2,000 years of wisdom with one word: nuisance. Let me tell you what this plant actually is. It's called duckweed, scientifically classified in the family Lemnaceae. The most powerful strain is Wolffia globosa, tiny green spheres smaller than a pinhead, floating on still water. Each sphere is a complete plant. No roots, no stems, no leaves, just pure metabolic tissue. A biological machine built for one purpose: turning sunlight into protein faster than anything else on Earth. And here's where it gets insane. Duckweed is 40 to 45% protein by dry weight. That's higher than soybeans at 35%, higher than chicken at 23%, higher than eggs at 13%. But it's not just the quantity, it's the quality. Most plant proteins are incomplete. They're missing essential amino acids. That's why vegetarians have to combine rice with beans, hummus with pita. The combinations are necessary because individual plants are deficient. Duckweed is different. It contains all 9 essential amino acids in ratios that match human requirements. You could eat duckweed as your only protein source and meet all your nutritional needs. No combining, no supplementation. Complete nutrition from a plant smaller than a grain of rice. But wait, it gets better, or worse, depending on whether you profit from the current food system. Vitamin B12, the vitamin that vegans are told they must get from supplements or animal products because it doesn't exist in plants. Researchers found bioavailable B12 in duckweed, not trace amounts, significant, measurable quantities. That single fact destroys the narrative that plant-based diets require supplementation, and it threatens a multi-billion-dollar supplement industry built on B12 deficiency. Then there are omega-3 fatty acids, the ones you're told you need from fish oil. Duckweed contains them naturally. It's fish oil that grows in a pond without killing fish. Iron, calcium, magnesium, vitamins A, C, B-complex, antioxidants, polyphenols. It's not just protein. It's a complete nutritional package in an organism barely see. So here's the question nobody in the agricultural industry wants to answer. If this plant contains complete protein, vitamin B12, omega-3 South, and grows 10 times faster than soybeans, why isn't it in every grocery store in America? Why are we not farming it industrially? Why is it classified as a nuisance instead of a miracle crop? Hook 3. The $650 million lie. The answer is brutal and reveals everything about who controls what you eat. You cannot patent a weed that grows in a ditch. Listen carefully. Duckweed doubles its mass every 16 to 48 hours. Under optimal conditions, 1 speck becomes 2, to become 4, to become 8. Within a month, a handful can cover an entire pond. That exponential growth terrifies the chemical industry because it represents food production that cannot be controlled. You can't patent something that multiplies itself without asking permission. You can't sell fertilizer to a plant that needs none. You can't create dependency when abundance is the default state. So they did the only thing they could do. They declared war on it. They created an entire vocabulary of fear. Aquatic nuisance, invasive species, noxious weed, green plague. Every term designed to make you see a threat instead of food. They trained homeowners associations to write bylaws requiring clear water. They convinced golf courses that green ponds are unprofessional. They sold America on the idea that nature's most efficient food factory is actually a disease. And then they sold us the cure. The global aquatic herbicide market is worth over $650 million annually. Chemicals with names like Dequat, Fluoridone, Panoxylum, each one engineered to kill duckweed. Cost per treatment, $300 to $800 per acre. Multiply that by millions of ponds across America. Add lakes, golf courses, retention basins, irrigation channels. That's a forever market. And here's the sickest part of the cycle. Industrial agriculture produces massive nitrogen and phosphorus runoff from corn and soybean fertilizers. That runoff enters waterways and accumulates in ponds. Duckweed absorbs those excess nutrients and grows explosively. The pond owner sees the explosion as an infestation. They buy herbicides to kill it. The duckweed dies and releases the absorbed nitrogen and phosphorus back into the water. The released nutrients trigger another duckweed bloom. The owner buys more herbicide. The cycle repeats forever. The chemical companies profit at every stage. They sell the fertilizers that pollute the water. They sell the herbicides that kill the plants, cleaning the pollution. They sell the next round of herbicides when the duckweed returns. It's not pest management. It's manufactured dependency. But here's what they don't tell you. Duckweed isn't the problem. It's the solution. Every pond covered in duckweed is a pond being cleaned. Duckweed removes nitrogen, phosphorus, heavy metals, even pharmaceutical residues from contaminated water. Studies show removal rates of 90 to 99%. That's better than most engineered wastewater treatment systems. It treats water naturally, rapidly, and at zero cost. Now imagine this. Pig farms across America produce toxic manure lagoons full of nitrogen and phosphorus. What if instead of poisoning those lagoons, we covered them with duckweed? The duckweed absorbs the nutrients, cleaning the water. Then we harvest the duckweed and feed it to the pigs as high-protein feed. The waste stream becomes a value stream. The pollution becomes nutrition. The system closes into a sustainable loop. No imported soybeans from deforested Brazilian land. No chemical treatments. The pigs produce manure. The manure grows duckweed. The duckweed feeds the pigs. Researchers have proven this works at scale. Pilot programs demonstrate economic viability, yet industrial pig farming continues importing soybeans while poisoning their own manure lagoons to kill duckweed. Why? Because the current system generates profit for external suppliers. Closed-loop systems eliminate dependency on chemical inputs and purchase feed, and that independence is intolerable to the corporations that control American agriculture. And then there's the ultimate validation, the one that exposes just how criminal this suppression has been. NASA identified duckweed as a primary candidate for deep space food production. In November 2023, samples were sent to the International Space Station. The goal? Test cultivation in microgravity for future Mars missions. NASA engineers calculated that a small vertical farm of duckweed could provide all the protein needs for a crew of 6 on a 3-year mission to Mars. Let that sink in. On Earth, we poison it as a nuisance. In space, it's the future of human survival. The same plant, the only difference is context and profit motive. On Earth, duckweed competes with a $650 million herbicide market. In space, there's no market to protect, there's only survival. And when survival is the priority, the truth becomes obvious. Duckweed isn't a weed. It's the most efficient food production system nature has ever created. So what does America's future look like if we stop poisoning abundance? Imagine vertical indoor farms using 95% less water than traditional crops. No pesticides, no herbicides, no soil depletion. Harvests every few days instead of once per season. A family could grow their daily protein requirements in a few square meters of shallow tanks on a balcony or in a basement. No dependence on grocery stores. No vulnerability to supply chain disruptions. Complete nutritional independence using an organism that multiplies itself without permission. That independence terrifies the food industry. Some companies are starting to commercialize duckweed under brands like Mankai, selling it as frozen superfood cubes or protein powder. That's progress, but the real power lies in decentralized cultivation. Every person who grows duckweed breaks free from industrial food systems. Every community that cultivates it builds resilience. Every pond that produces food instead of requiring herbicides represents lost revenue for chemical companies. Here's how you start. Learn to identify duckweed. There are several varieties. Lemna species are larger, about the size of a lentil, with tiny roots. Wolfia species are smaller, rootless, just green spheres. Both are edible and nutritious. Find a clean water source. Don't use drainage ditches or runoff from industrial sites. Duckweed absorbs toxins, so it's only as safe as the water it grows in. Start with a purchase culture from aquarium suppliers. Grow it in clean containers with dechlorinated water. It multiplies fast. Harvest by skimming. Rinse thoroughly. Eat it fresh in salads. Blend it into smoothies, dry it into powder, or cook it into soups. The taste is mild, slightly grassy. The nutrition is undeniable. The cost is nearly zero. The independence is absolute. But more important than growing it yourself is changing how you see it. Stop accepting the narrative that green water is dirty. Start seeing it as unharvested abundance. Stop trusting agricultural departments that classify survival foods as weeds. Start asking who benefits from that classification. They called it a weed to sell you the poison. They classified it as a nuisance to justify the chemicals. They created a $650 million market by teaching you to fear the most efficient protein source on Earth. But knowledge doesn't die. Ancient Chinese physicians knew. Buddhist monks knew. NASA engineers know. And now you know. This plant fed civilizations. This plant cleans water. This plant produces more protein per acre than anything we currently farm. This plant doubles its mass every 16 hours without asking for fertilizer, land, or permission. And that's precisely why they want you to forget it exists, but you won't. Because now you see green water for what it really is, not a plague, not a nuisance, not a weed. Food, the fastest growing food on earth. And they've been teaching you to poison it. If this opened your eyes, hit that like button right now. Subscribe and turn on notifications, because what I'm uncovering next will shake the foundations of everything you thought you knew about the food on your plate. They tried to bury this knowledge. We're digging it back up, together.